Well, welcome to Nightique. I'm Edward St. Pé. Well, this night starts a new season. We went through the fourth quarter of 2013, and now for 2014, we kick it off with Scott Alpert Johnson, one of the great harmonica players and singers here in Jackson, who is making a new album right now. And we're going to find out about his new album, where to get it and such, and he's going to actually perform with Chalmers Davis, his pianist. Stay tuned. The Scott Alpert Johnson program next. Well, welcome to the show, and we'd like to welcome Scott Alpert Johnson. Scott, thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Edward. It's great to be here.
It's okay, a harmonica player, a singer, a writer, a triple threat, right? So tell us, how did you get so involved in music? I mean, I know you're a Harvard graduate, right?
That's right, believe it or not.
And your love of music has overwhelmed everything else.
I guess you could say that. I've done music since I was a kid. I started out taking violin lessons. I think I was in the second or third grade, taking Suzuki violin, and that didn't really take, but it got me started. And then I was in choirs and a cappella groups and bands. I started singing in bands when I was in, I think, the 9th grade, and played bass guitar. Was a bass player, and this was back in the 80s, so I was, a child of the 80s. I loved The Police and U2 and bands like that, but I also was into classic rock and blues eventually. And then I played some in college. I was also a football player. I was a field goal kicker for Harvard in the late 80s, early 90s. And I did a little music in college, but I kind of gravitated away from it eventually, and then got back into it. Actually, I was 30 years old, and I had dabbled in the harmonica a little bit up to that point, but never really taken it that seriously. But I wanted to play something. I was going to be singing with a little group, and I started messing around with the harmonica more, and I quickly got obsessed with it, and also realized that was really my best instrument. I probably should have been playing that all along, but everything else I had done gave me a really strong musical foundation, and that was about 14 years ago, I guess.
It might be some parallel between field goal kicking and harmonica playing. I don't know.
There might be.
It's like a specialist, right?
Either one's a little quirky, yeah.
It's both a specialist.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. That I never thought about that, but and even within the world of the harmonica, I'm probably a little bit different, because I didn't. Although I did eventually get into the blues side of it, and the sort of the legendary blues players like Little Walter and Paul Butterfield and people like that. But I really came at it initially as just a melodic instrument that I could hopefully play anything on it eventually, once I learned how to do it. And I think that has given me a sort of a different style from some of the other persons. I was also influenced by John Popper from Blues Traveler, who was more of a rock player, and then eventually I got into jazz playing, and all that kind of informs what I do.
So you play all around the state, but also you have traveled and played. Tell us some of the interesting things that you've seen over the last few years.
Well, I've toured up and down the East Coast, and in '05 I played in Europe. I played in Holland and Lithuania, and that was really cool. I had a Dutch band that was backing me in Holland, and then I played in Lithuania with a Lithuanian band, and that was really interesting, because I had never been to Eastern Europe before, and not only their interests in American and Western music, or whatever you want to call it, but their expertise at playing it really blew me away. I mean, these guys, there was a guy in the band who played keyboard, and I mean, he probably couldn't have spoken more than 10 words of English, but he could play anything. He could sound like Ray Charles, Dr. John, play classical, jazz, anything. It was, it's truly a universal language. And one of the other great things about that trip, I played a show in Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, and after the show, I was hanging out with a bunch of people, they were probably about in their they were probably about my age. I guess they were probably in their mid-30s at the time. But they had been college students in the early 90s when the Soviet Union was collapsing. And there was a famous showdown in Vilnius between Soviet troops with tanks and all these university students at this TV tower, which is kind of like their Space Needle, kind of. And I think something like 10 to 12 students were killed during the showdown. And I talked to all these people who were there, who were students. And it was almost like, you know, the equivalent, I guess, would be talking to people who were at, you know, Boston Tea Party or something, you know. And it really put things in perspective about freedom and what it means to really stand up for it. So that was a cool experience.
It really doesn't take much, you know, going to Europe to appreciate America, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, with everything that's happened there over the last, you know, few centuries, and not in the last 50 or 100 years.
And in the last week.
In the last week, you know, it makes you appreciate America. When I went to Europe, when I got off the plane, when I came back, I got on my knees and kissed the ground, you know, because I was so overwhelmed with how great America is, as opposed to, you know, some of these other places that have seen such turmoil and upheaval politically. You know?
Right. Well, yeah, definitely. But what it also drove home for me is all the things that we have in common with these people, and you know, they like to watch a good movie. They like to play or listen to music. They like to talk about the things that are going on in the world, and it was great to get, you know, another perspective on things like, you know, the Iraq War or the War on Terror, or even just what it means to like grow up in the modern world and have kids and you know get through the day. The commonality is what I was really
I was
took away
amazed
from
at
it.
how much American music was on their radio.
Yeah.
I mean, everything was in English that I heard. You know.
Yeah, and they could. I mean, like I said, they could play it and they could appreciate it. Even the people that didn't play it, you could tell they had a sense of what they liked, and they could tell you why they liked it, and a lot of it was American.
You know, the blues players who have been on the show, the Jackson and Mississippi blues players who've traveled to Europe, they always talk about the appreciation that the Europeans have for the blues.
Right.
You know, I mean, and they're usually somewhat taken aback.
Yeah.
Because the people, you know, in some of those countries seem to appreciate it more than the American audiences, you know.
You know, you may have heard this story, but when the Beatles came to America, I guess it was in 1964 maybe, one of the reporters at the airport when they were having their press conference asked them, what's the one thing you most want to see while you're here? And I think it was John Lennon said, Muddy Waters. And the reporter said, where's that? And Lennon just looked at him and said, you know, you Americans, you don't even fully appreciate what you've given to the world. We appreciate it more than you do.
Right.
And of course that was 50 years ago. I don't know if it still is true today, but you know, America is a great country. But sometimes I don't know that Americans fully realize why it's a great country. These contributions that all of our citizens from all groups and demographics have made to world culture is pretty amazing. And it's great to see that the people in other parts of the world appreciate that.
It's true. Now, tell us about your recording. You're working on a new album right now.
Yes, I've been working on it for a little while. My first album came out in 2007, called Umbrella Man. And so this is the follow-up. It's taken a little while, but I'm almost done, and I'm shooting for a spring release. And it's really a mix of a lot of things. Although I'm definitely influenced by the blues, particularly having grown up here, I'm really more of a rock artist with influences from the blues and jazz and world music, funk, whatever, you know, singer-songwriter music, and it's really a mix of a lot of those things.
What is the climate like out there in regards to selling an album these days? Is it something that, I mean, everything has changed so much.
Yeah.
I mean, what does one do?
It's different. I mean, it's hard even to say what an album is, because yes, there is still such a thing as a tangible compact disc, which I'll have, and I'll be selling those, but probably I will sell more downloads through iTunes and Amazon or whatever. And you know, the business has changed immensely since I released my first record. And I think, you know, you've seen a lot in the news lately about Spotify and Taylor Swift pulling her music off because of the relatively small compensation artists get. But it's really a complicated question. as streaming music sort of becomes a bigger part of the marketplace. What does that mean for the artist? Because yes, the compensation model probably needs to change, but on the other hand, it is much easier than ever to get one's music out to people. Now, whether that registers in a way that results in becoming a superstar, I don't think we're going to see that many more superstars. But I think we are going to see, maybe, hopefully, a broader diversity of what it means to be popular. If you've got something to say and you can say it in a unique way, the barriers to producing that music and getting it out there are maybe not as large as they were at one time. So
Right.
that's a good thing.
It seems like, back in the old days, the distributor was in control of everything to such a great
The
extent.
gatekeeper, yeah.
The gatekeeper, and
Yeah.
now, the gate is open.
Yeah.
But
But there's hordes coming through that gate, and so
hordes coming through the gate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a very complex situation. What's
It is.
happened? But wouldn't you say the whole music industry has just been completely turned upside down?
Yes, the industry has, it's of all the people that have been affected by it, probably the musicians are probably the best off. The record labels are really scrambling to figure out, okay, well, what is the role of a record label now? It's probably going to be more promotion than anything, I think, going forward.
So what do you think? When you look at that model, the disruption model, that digital has brought into that marketplace, what do you see as far as other areas of art where artistic product is distributed? You see other disruptions occurring or that will occur?
Well, I mean, look at YouTube and Vine, for that matter. These little short videos. I mean, you've got these kids or young adults that are becoming famous and doing big concerts on the strength of a series of 15-second videos that they upload. That's a pretty big disruption. I mean, it used to be a lot harder to make a movie of any kind, whether it was 15 seconds or 2.5 hours. And now with the advent of shooting on digital, as opposed to, I know you're familiar with all this, it's easier to make a film. Now because it's easier to make a film, there are going to be more films.
Right.
And so getting people to pay attention to what your work, I hope that the cream rises to the top. That's hopefully the end result of this, is that it becomes more of a meritocracy because those gatekeepers are not as much in control. And I think you could apply similar arguments to, visual art, even theater. I hope there will always be a place for going to a theater and seeing a play, or going to a venue and seeing a concert. I hope that actually the whole democratization of music, and it seems like this is happening, pushes the sort of level of influence or importance back to live performance. I love performing live. I think I always will. I also like making records. They're kind of different things in a way. But it seems like it's going in a direction where the record becomes almost promotion for the live performance, which I think, that's a mixed bag too, but hopefully that's going to end up being a good
Kind of
thing
reversed
as well.
from the way it used to be.
Right, right. Go on the road to promote your record, right?
Another disruption, for example, is like in television. Right now, the spectrum that broadcasters use over the air to get the signals out, that spectrum is probably going to be more valuable to the mobile world,
Right.
And which would mean that most of the broadcasts, even over the air, would migrate to broadband delivery.
Right.
Where there would be no need for broadcast.
Right.
So television, as we know,
It's already kind of started to move that way.
Oh yeah. But in essence, it could completely go that way with no broadcast.
Do you think that's a good thing?
Well, I think it's probably a good thing in some ways, but I think that there are those in the business, the networks, for example, there are those out
Scared.
there. They're scared because they're just like it hit the record business. The digitalization of television is going to have great impact across the board for business models.
Right.
And
so we just got a Roku stick for our TV over the holidays.
And how you like it?
I love it. But I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of channels, and they're not even channels the way we were used to thinking of it, where you flick to a channel and whatever's on, that's what you watch. Now it's almost more like surfing the web, and I don't know. I kind of dig it, but if I'm trying to produce content and I want people to see it, that's a big ocean of content.
Here come the hordes again.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
The hordes of, you know, the product is overwhelming.
Right. And I think it really, you know, for music at least, and I think for maybe sort of the quote unquote finer arts or performing arts, it really comes back to you've got to love it and you've got to have something to say. That's, you know, that's ultimately what has to drive you.
Right.
And then you hope that there's an audience for it. But I love doing music, and I mean, you know, if it was 1985, trying to get my music out to someone would be a much more complicated process with a lot more steps,
right.
and to promote it. I mean,
Right.
even, you know, I mean, I'm glad I don't have to put up, you know, flyers everywhere. I mean, not that I still, you know, there are still bricks and mortar ways of promotion that are still probably important, but it's not as important. You know, I can promote much more easily just with, you know, a few mouse clicks.
I was going to ask you about that, but that is the essential thing for an artist. I mean, loving what you do, number one.
Yeah.
Because, you know, everything that you face as an artist, I think, you know, the love of the art is the prevailing thing that gets you through it.
I mean, I hate promoting stuff. It's not, you know, it's not, to me, that's not what it's about. But you do want people to hear what you're doing.
Right.
No, to me, it comes back to, you know, the first time I picked up a bass guitar and played a Clash song, or the first time I heard Stevie Ray Vaughan in live and on record, you know.
Okay, so you're going to play for us, right?
Yeah.
Tell us, we've got a couple of songs. What are you going to do?
Yeah. I know I'm going to do a song from the new record called If I Only Knew the Words, which is a song about songwriting, but it's also about relationships, so I'm going to do that. And also going to do a song from my first, well, a couple of songs from my first record. Going to do one called Spaceship, which is based on a true story, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Now, the records, the older record is available at where?
You can get it on iTunes, Amazon, CD Baby, and I know there's some other places too. You can get it through Rhapsody or Spotify.
Umbrella Man.
That's right.
And the new record?
It's called Going Somewhere, and I'm shooting for a May of 2015 release for that.
And where would that be available? Same location?
Same locations, and you can get an actual physical CD also, well, through CD Baby and probably some other outlets.
And what is your website?
ScottAlbertJohnson.com.
Okay, good. All right, well, we're going to be back with Scott in a minute. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Since 1849, Carter Jewelers has been a part of Jackson's rich history. Over 163 years later, we've not only survived, Carter Jewelers has flourished. From generation to generation, we've established a tradition of excellence. Our reputation is built on customer satisfaction, service, and trust. Every piece of jewelry is handpicked, so you know you're getting the best value.
Nobody says I do like we do at Carter Jewelers.
Come see us and be part of our history.
So this is a song from my next record that's coming out this spring, and it's a song about relationships and communication, but also about songwriting, and this is called If I Only Knew the Words. Don't understand this situation. I don't know the way that I should feel. I can't seem to find the inspiration. Can't find a single thing that's real. I'm talking about a negotiation, a meeting on a bridge that we can't see. But I can't stop this cruel reverberation from filling up the space between you and me. If I only knew the words, if I only knew the song, I would sing it from the mountains. We'd be dancing all night long. If my soul could speak the truth, and if only you could hear, you would feel the way that I do, and our love would reappear. Wanna reminisce about tomorrow, initiate a plan for yesterday. take a great leap forward to evaluate each sorrow so we could maybe choose a better way. But you don't want to know the plans I'm making. You know that things must be the way they'll be. And all these remedies that I'm mistaken for something that will bring you back to me. If I only knew the words, if I only knew the song, I would scream it to the heavens with a voice that's proud and strong. If my soul could speak the truth, and if only you could hear, you would know my heart for certain, and the way would be so clear. And this song, it goes on forever. And these dreams haunt me night and day. And I see you looking at me, and I don't know what to say. Why does it have to be that way? 10 years and I've still got the same affliction. I've started and I've stopped 1,000 times. The metaphors don't rise above the fiction. The melodies won't match up with the rhymes. And every breath serves to remind me of all the times I've tried to write this song. And now that you have come here to find me, well, I pray this time that it won't come out wrong. If I only knew the words, if I only knew the song, I would sing it from the mountains. We'd be dancing all night long. If I only knew the words, if I only knew the song, we would sing it together and we'd be dancing. And this song is called Spaceship, and it's based on a true story. I'm just going to leave it at that. Chalmers, you ready?
Yeah.
I saw a light the other night. It sure was big, it sure was bright. It knocked me out, it was out of sight. Sure hope it comes back again tonight. They said it was from outer space, from some far off and freaky place. I'm telling you now, face to face, disappeared without a trace. And if I saw a spaceship, could I tell you so? If you thought I'd gone bananas, would you let me know? 'Cause I'm stuck here on this planet and I got no place to go. And now you say I'm gone insane. Some bad ideas got in my brain. You say it was a bird or plane. Well, let me tell you something, Jane. There's more to life than meets the eye. Way off beyond the earth and sky. Should I have called the FBI? Would they think it was alive? And if I saw a spaceship, could I hitch a ride? Would it take me all the way to the other side? 'Cause I can't get off this planet and Lord knows that I've tried. I've tried to get to the other side. and 2 and 3 and 4. I think that I shall never see a lot so lovely or so free. I wonder will it ever be sitting here right next to me. It's an illusion, so you say. There's no such thing anyway. But I saw it just as clear as day. But I don't think I wanna stay. And if I climbed aboard a spaceship, would you let me go? Could it be there's still a few things that you still don't know? Cause I'm jumping off this planet and I just wanted to say so long, so long, so long. And that's the end of this song.
Well, thank you, Scott, for being with us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I really appreciate you taking the time to come.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And we'll have the show, aside from being on the air, we're also going to post it at Nightique.com.
Cool.
And we want to wish you good luck with everything coming up in the future. And congratulations on the new record. I hope everybody will go to your website, scottalbertjohnson.com.
That's it.
And
I'm on
purchase
Facebook
that.
and the Twitter and the Instagram and all that.
Got it. Thank you. See you next time on Nightique.